This is part 2 of the video about the repeat toolbar. So in the last video, the last thing I did was crop the image. So I got rid of most of the moths and I was left with just one. So I'm going to undo that so you can see what happened there. So I'm going to redo that. We can just work with that one moth. Working with that one moth actually lends itself well to the next tool. Not this tool. This realignment tool is not really something that we use in NED graphics. It's better in Photoshop. So I would say avoid it. The next one is repeat design. So you can see from my repeat boundaries that this repeat is made up of one moth. And that ghost line is sort of indicating the beginning and end of the repeat, also known as the origin. So what I want to show you how to do it with the repeat design is to take a repeat unit and duplicate it out, usually so that you can create variation. So right now, it's the same thing happening over and over again. But if I use repeat design, I can say, let me duplicate this repeat out 2 times horizontally and 3 times vertically. And then I click on the preview image and it shows me that update. And when I hit process, my new repeat unit is actually made up of 6 moths. The reason for this would be to create variation. So I could change their colors or I could change their placement. I'm going to right now change their colors. I'm going to add a couple of other tools on, or I'm sorry, a couple other palette colors on. And I'm going to use the stencil tool, which we talked about a little bit before, to protect the white background. So I clicked on the designate stencil and it activated a stencil. The white background is checked in my palette, and now I'm going to use a drawing tool to draw on one of the moths and make it a different color. And you'll notice that because the repeat unit is larger now, I don't have to worry about every single moth turning blue. Just one of every 6 turns blue, one of every 6 is turning red, and then one of every 6 is going to turn yellow. So repeat design really allows you to create variation. It could have been that I changed the scale, I could have changed the angle. In this case, I was just changing the color. I'm going to change that yellow because it's ugly. Anyway, so the repeat design is really powerful. Now, I could continue to repeat the design. Every time I do it, though, it changes the repeat size. So let's just check the repeat size by going to File, Image Properties. Currently, it's 16 by 13. So if I were to repeat the design again, 2 by 3, I would end up with a massive repeat size. So you do have to keep an eye on that. The next thing I'm going to do is actually go back and crop my design again because I don't want to confuse you with the next tool. So I'm going to go to the area selection, crop, green arrow, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to crop my design so I'm just dealing with the red. I think I may have caught some of the black on that one, so I'm just going to go in again. It would be easier if I had zoomed in. I'm going to crop this down. Okay, it's going to ask me if I want to keep those changes. Yes, I do. And it looks like I cropped too much off of that red, but that was because I wasn't zoomed in. But you can always undo this. So I'm going to undo it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and be a little bit more responsible about how I crop this by being able to actually see it. So zooming in, going down to here. Okay. Yes, I want to keep those repeat modifications. And I have that whole thing. So what I want to show you in the next tool is it's definitely something that you have to get used to working with. It allows you to take a design and rotate it, meaning I can, for instance, do like a plate design. This preview shows how weird it is if I just leave it on the default. So I'm going to say that the width and height of the outer ellipse should be equal. So I'm going to just put in 50, and this is inches, so be careful about the size of your file, 50 by 50. And then you can see it's stretching out my design to do this. I'm going to say keep proportion. I don't know why I would do that. Let me do circle. Okay, so that creates an equal thing. And then the inner ellipse that it's working with, let me show you how it changes here. There's a center point here, so that if I wanted to only have the butterfly or moth going around the edge, I could create an inner circle as well. The background color is that it's using, this is the only time I've ever seen this, is using the whatever colors in the left-hand palette box. So again, I could do circle. And then the sector angle basically allows me to decide how many of them show and how they meet. So automatic does a pretty good job of creating the correct spacing for your motif, but it definitely is basing it on the number of sectors down here. So I'm going to say more sectors or less sectors. Less sectors is not going to work very well. More sectors is squeezing them a bit. So having that preview there is really, really helpful. This is great here too to see how it's going to create a new image. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I guess I should probably try the angle thing first too, to show you can start the origin. And then just click OK. So I'm going to end up with some processing happening down here in the left-hand corner. And I'm going to have this circular design, which is pretty cool. It has to be the right kind of design to do this. If you have a massive repeat, it is not going to work. If you have a motif, it will work very well. So this may take a minute to process, so you can fast forward on the video if you want to. And then we're going to move on to the next set of tools actually I can talk about here are outline, skeleton, and spread. So basically this happens to a color in the image that I assigned, and it happens everywhere. So if I say outline this red, everywhere in an image the red would be outlined. If I do skeleton, it basically shrinks the line, and spread just thickens lines slightly. So those are pretty straightforward. And then you did the global motif fill already, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we have one that is an ECOT effect, and then global multi-motif fill for people who really have nothing else to do. Smooth tool. The cut tool does not work very well, so I kind of avoid it. So here we have the second file that was created. Looks pretty darn good. My new moth plate pre-orders are happening. So I was just going to fill that so you can see. So going back to the other tools, the outline tool is kind of cool because it basically is going to tell me to, oh, I'm crashing. Well, that might be a natural ending to this video. And then we'll do a third part.